Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Jag here. In today's class, we're going to continue with our Math 10 content, and what we're covering today is going to be perfect squares or perfect square trinomials, and also a difference of squares. So with that, let's get started. So first, we're going to go through the perfect square trinomials. How you know a trinomial is a perfect square is, let's write out an example here. So say I have 4x squared plus 28x plus 49. So the first thing you're going to do, okay, is you're going to make sure that you can take the square root of the first term and the last term. So if I take the square root of the 4x squared, that's equal to 2x, okay? And the square root of 49, I know, is equal to 7, okay? Then what you're going to do is I'm going to plug these values into the 2ab, okay? And this actually represents the central term within this equation. So you're going to do 2 times 2x times 7. So this is actually the value of a, okay? This is the value of b, all right? And you'll see that when I do multiply all of these numbers together, I'm getting 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 7 is 28. So I'm left with 28x. And I noticed that this is actually the middle term within my equation. It's positive 28x, okay? So if you do want to factor this out, this is just to show that this is a perfect square trinomial. Most of the questions will tell you to factor it after that. So say I am factoring this. So actually I'll just leave this up here. Okay, and the factors would be basically just 2x and the 7. Because this first actual sign is positive, it's basically just going to be 2x plus 7 and 2x plus 7. Okay, so it looks like this. And that's why it's a perfect square trinomial. It's 2x plus 7 whole squared. So I can put the squared outside the brackets here. Okay, does everyone see that? Alright, so that's all we're doing here. We are verifying that the trinomial is a perfect square. And then we are basically just factoring the answer here. All right. So with that, let's try one more example. I'm going to take this off. Okay, and let's try this one. So I have 25k squared, okay, minus 60km plus 36m squared. Okay, so again, don't worry about the actual variables, okay? It really doesn't matter here. So the value for a is going to be the square root of that first term. Okay, so square root of 25k squared is going to equal to 5k. Okay, and the b term is the square root of 36m squared, which is equal to 6m. Okay? And again, first we're just going to verify that this is a perfect square trinomial. So I'm going to do negative 2ab. The reason I'm putting negative is that I see that there is a negative sign right here. And I'm just looking at the first sign, okay, within the equation. So I'm going to do negative 2 times a, which is 5k, and times b, which is 6m. Okay, I can see I'm just going to basically multiply all of these terms together. Okay, and I'm getting, so negative 2 times 5, so negative 10 times 6 is going to equal to negative 60. Sorry, so not just m here. I can see there's a k and there's an m. So it's negative 60 km, which is equal to that middle term. All right, so that's how you actually verify or prove that this trinomial is a perfect square trinomial. And the second part is going to ask you to factor this perfect square trinomial. So that we'll just take out one side here. So I'm just going to use my a and b values. Okay, the a value here is 5k and the b value is 6m. So this time it's going to be 5k minus 6m and 5k minus 6m. Okay, and again, the reason we're using the negative sign this time is because this first sign in the equation is negative, okay? And I can also just write that as 5k minus 6m whole squared, okay? And this is how you'll write your final answer, okay? So 5k minus 6m whole squared. Okay, so this is basically just the perfect square trinomials. All right, with that, let's move on to the difference of squares. So let me take this off. Okay, and we did cover difference of squares as well briefly in one of my other videos as well. So we're going to just do a recap of that. And then I want to look at some of the more tougher questions for difference of squares. Okay, so let's try a question here. So let's do this one. So 36w squared minus 49. So again, if I'm looking at this equation or expression here, I can see that it's a difference of squares. Okay, I have a negative sign between the two terms. And right away, by looking at it, I know I can take the square root of both of these terms. Okay, so what we're going to do is take the square root of 36, okay, w squared, which is 6w, okay? And if you want, you can also use this as the value of a, okay? And then the value of b, I'm going to take the square root of 49, which I know is equal to 7. So there is a reason I'm writing a and b here, okay? So some teachers will give you the formula for the difference of squares, okay? So if you find the formula helpful, I would just use the formula. So a plus b, a minus b, okay? So the a value that we got here is 6w, and we just took the square root of that first term. And then when you take the square root of the second term, that is the b value, which is equal to 7. So now you can just plug it into this formula if you find that easy. A plus b is 6w plus 7, okay? And then when you do a minus b, this is going to be 6w minus 7. Does everyone see that? And that's all you're doing here. For the difference of squares, again, I do not need to show my work for this. And the reason for that is I can see what the factors are right away. Because one of the brackets is positive and the other one is negative, that middle term is just going to cancel out. Are there any questions? Good. So let's move on. And what we're going to try is some of these difference of squares where you have actually more than one term that is present here. Okay, and so with that, I'm going to pick one of the questions, okay, from the textbook. And let's try that out, okay? So let's try maybe this one first. Okay, so I don't want to pick a really hard question, okay, just to make sure everyone can grasp the concept. Okay, so let's try this one first. Okay, so 225 minus, it's x plus 5 squared. So even if you look at this question, okay, I know again, I can take the square root of 225, which is 15, okay? And let's write it out first. So a is the square root of 225, 15. And the value of b is going to be the square root of x plus 5 squared. Okay, so I'm going to write it like this. X plus 5 squared. When you take the square root of this, I'm just left with x plus 5. Okay? So the reason for that is when you take the square root and the squared, the sign just basically cancels out. So I'm getting rid of the squared by doing the square root function. Okay? And again, I see I have my a and b values here. So I'm going to write the equation or the expression. So a plus b and a minus b. Okay, so when you do a plus b, this is going to be 15 plus x plus 5. Okay, and we're going to leave the expression like this because we do have to simplify it. The second one is going to be 15 minus x plus 5. Okay, so again, notice that I am putting double brackets in here. Okay, and the reason is we do have to distribute this bracket out, okay? So if you look in the first brackets, I can put some like terms together. I have 15 and 5, so 15 plus 5, so 20 plus x, okay? And in the second bracket, I'm distributing the negative sign, okay? So this is actually going to be negative x, okay? And this is going to be 15 minus 5, which is equal to positive 10. So it's negative x plus 10. Does everyone see that? Okay, so that's how you do one of these questions. Don't forget to put that double bracket, okay? So it makes a difference in terms of the signs, okay? So with that, let's try one last question here, okay? This time, we're going to have, okay, two separate expressions. So let me take this off. Okay, so let's try this one here. So it is 3c plus 2 squared minus 3c minus 2. Okay, and then you're squaring it. As soon as I see the two squared signs for these expressions, I notice that there are only two terms, and I know it's a difference of squares, okay? So again, let's do the value for a. So the square roots of 3c plus 2 squared, okay? And again, the squared sign is just going to cancel out here. I am left with 3c plus 2. And for the b value, we're going to do the square root of 3c minus 2 squared. Okay, the squared sign is going to cancel out, and I am left with 3c minus 2. And remember, in the actual equation, you're just adding the two terms together in one bracket, and in the second bracket, we're going to subtract the two terms, okay? So let me write it right here. So I have a plus b and a minus b, okay? So again, I'm going to plug it into this expression. Okay, so we're going to do 3c plus 2 plus 3c minus 2, okay? And again, in the second brackets, let's double bracket this. So it's going to be 3c plus 2 minus the 3c minus 2. So I'm going to put two brackets so everyone can see that, okay? So we're going to just simplify this expression, put the like terms together here, okay? I could do 3c plus 3c, so 6c. Okay, and then I have a positive 2 plus negative 2 is 0, and it cancels out. So I'm just going to cancel that out. So in the first bracket, we're actually just left with 6c, okay? In the second bracket, make sure again that you are distributing this negative sign out, okay? So it's going to be 3c minus 3c, which is gone, okay? And then it's going to be 2. If you look closely, there's a negative 2 inside the second bracket. It becomes positive here when you distribute the negative sign. So it's going to be 2 plus 2, which is equal to 4. Okay? Because these two are monomials, okay, I can actually multiply them together. And what I'm left with is 6 times 4, so 24c. Okay, and again, this is my final answer. Okay, you should make sure you are circling your final answer. Therefore, the teacher can actually see what your final answer is. You can see we did a lot of steps here. If you are good with the difference of squares, again, you can skip some of these steps, okay? However, make sure in the second bracket, when you are subtracting the two terms, I would make sure I put extra brackets, make sure you're putting double brackets, and distribute that negative sign, all right? Alright, so if there are no questions, that brings this video to an end. Please make sure you do like, share, and subscribe to the channel, and I will see everyone next time. Thanks, bye.